Welcome to What? That Old Queen, a candid and adult take on queer life quandaries at a certain age, so please listen at your own discretion. Presented by Bernie and Tommy, their views are their own and in no way reflect those of any service you may hear this program on. Now, let your ears be upstanding for the Old Queen. So, Tommy, we're recording at a different time of day.
I know, it feels weird.
And
I can actually see what you look like.
Yeah, the Vaseline's been removed from the camera. And there seems to be lots of building work, so apologies to the listeners if you can hear workmen in the background. They're just fixing something up for me.
I've just got used to that noise, yeah. It's just part of my life now.
But we normally do it in the evening, so we don't...
Yeah, they don't tend to build in the evening.
Yeah, we don't tend to hear it. But, yeah, there might be some funny noises coming from the background.
And also funny smells. Can you smell that organic peppermint fly killer spray that I just squirted?
That you just squirted over me to get rid of me.
It smells quite nice, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's fresh.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if it actually works.
I don't think it's going to work. I think they're just going to love that smell.
I think, I still like my special vinegar, my vinegar baths.
Yeah.
For them. And more about baths later on, because we've got a special guest coming up, pre-recorded interview for this, Rhyannon Styles, which was brilliant, which we'll insert. But how's your week been? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. I've Monday and Tuesday I took part in a panel where we were looking at applications for some art projects that will happen in Bristol, which was really fun to take part in. And it just felt so Bristol in the sense that organised by Bristol Council, and they got a few freelancers on board to have a look at the proposals and give their opinions. But in sort of typical Bristol style, they organised a playlist to go alongside the decision-making.
Okay.
And they decided to play Bucks Fizz Making Your Mind Up.
Amazing.
And the person facilitating it, as well as being an arts officer at the council, is also a person that organises dance, what do you call them? A dance facilitator.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a dance facilitator. So we ended up doing all a choreographed routine of Bucks Fizz Making Your Mind Up. And it was particularly interesting in the moment where don't let the indecision take you from behind.
Did it take you from behind?
There was a few proposals that did take me from behind.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in a nice way.
Did you rip your skirt off?
No. I mean, it was mostly middle-aged women in the panel.
Okay.
Which I guess that's what Cheryl and... I can't remember the other one's name.
The other one?
Actually, if I know the other one. Because they've changed, haven't they? But then now they've gone back to the original lineup.
Yeah, it's a bit like the Sugar Babes. I mean, we've all been in the Sugar Babes, right?
It's true, yeah.
The never-ending lineup. That's good. And watched your show, Posed as a Woman.
Yeah.
Or the development
work
part
in
of
progress showing on Zoom for the Gift International Festival, which is based in Newcastle. But that's the beauty of these times is, I was doing something for Newcastle audiences in my bedroom.
Yeah. Did you have a nice Beltane apart from that?
What does that mean?
Well, it's like a festival, so it's like the May Day Festival. It's like the pagan festival. So.
Yes, I actually only took part in one other event other than my own.
Right.
But that was a really nice event because who was also partaking in the festival was one of my tutors from my degree times, which was almost 25 years ago. And when she taught us, we did a module. The module was basically performing in our home, in our domestic settings, in our homes, which just felt like you've just really set the level for what's going to happen during a pandemic.
Yeah, exactly.
If ever one occurs. And it did.
Forward thinking.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Beltane is like it's more of a fire festival. It's like because you light the fire of summer.
I feel like
coming.
someone's used that word recently to me, and I had to Google it, and obviously it didn't stick in my head.
No,
Can you hear that noise now? It's really annoying, isn't it?
I can, but you know, it'll be fine. It'll go in a minute.
Well, before Bernie said he thought it was someone singing.
I thought it was someone singing like a siren in the background, doing some singing practice. It is also International Masturbation Month.
Can I say something else about this?
Yeah.
Yesterday it was Hedgehog Awareness Day.
Right.
And no, Hedgehog Awareness Week and Midwife's Day.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a lot of excitement in my house. Because I'm often giving birth to hedgehogs. And it's quite painful.
I can imagine. Well, something else that could be quite painful, if you want it to be, but hopefully is pleasurable, is masturbation. So, yeah, I think it used to be like an International Masturbation Day, but now they've extended it to the whole month. I don't know.
It's lockdown, isn't it?
Well, I don't know whether it's a lockdown thing or not. So I've got a list of things why masturbation is good for you.
I did notice on the list there's it helps induce sleep, which I can concur.
Yeah. Well, should we go? Should we do these in like a cabinet of curiosities style?
Okay.
Where me and you can do one. Yeah. I'll just read this first thing. So, masturbation apparently is important to helping you discover your body and finding out what you like, and obviously maybe what you don't like. Contrary to popular belief, you are responsible for your own orgasm. So if you know your body and you know what excites you, you'll be able to communicate that to your sexual partner, which I think is a good thing. So potential benefits of masturbation
is it promotes the release of endorphins, the neurotransmitters associated with happy feelings that can improve overall mood and fight off depression.
Yeah, I've heard that. It also produces a chemical called oxytocin, which works as a natural pain reliever.
Sounds like a drag queen.
It's my new drag queen name.
Helps reduce headaches and muscle aches.
Relieves stress and tension and aids relaxation after a stressful day. I might need to do this later.
I had a massage the other day.
Did you? How was that?
Christopher Morgan gave him a massage.
Oh, he's so good. Yeah, I always go and see Chris. Yeah, Massage Man. If you haven't had one and you're in Bristol, check him out. He's very good. What's the next one?
Provides a sexual outlet for people who are on their own by choice or circumstance.
Well, I think a lot of us have been on our own by circumstance over the last year or so. You've already mentioned this. Helps induce sleep, or conversely, helps you start the day with more energy.
How is that possible?
I don't know. I suppose if you have a little bit of a flurry in the morning.
I do quite like to have sex in the morning, but I've never really thought of having...
Maybe it's because you're meant to meditate in the morning, aren't you?
Are you a morning person?
I never used to be, but I think I am now.
I think it comes with age, because I definitely am.
Yeah, I seem to get up at like 7:30 and do stuff now. Yeah, it's crazy. But I, like you, have always liked sex in the morning as well. Sometimes more than at night.
I want sex for breakfast.
Yeah. It improves the immune system and contributes to your overall health.
Helps fight COVID. Just made that one up.
I mean, I don't know what the science is on that, but it could do.
Strengthens muscle tone in the genital and pelvic floor area, which can lead to better sex.
Of course. It can keep you free from sexually transmitted infections, as it's the safest kind of sex. I mean, I'm not condoning giving up sex with other people for masturbation. I think it's an optional extra.
Okay, let's make that clear.
Yeah.
Translate into better sex as stimulating each other at the same time is intimate and rewarding. People often masturbate into old age.
Well, let's hope so.
I mean, I've worked in an old people's home and I can concur that that's true.
And then so that's the top 10, but then we have possible health benefits for women. So combats premenstrual tension and other physical conditions associated with the menstrual cycle, such as cramps.
Relieves painful menstruation by increasing blood flow to the pelvic region, which also reduces pelvic cramps and related backaches.
And also builds resistance to yeast infections.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then the possible health benefits for men.
May help to combat premature ejaculation by training it to last longer. It's easier to practice control when you do it on your own.
Of course. As Janet Jackson used to say.
Did she?
Well, she did a song called Control. I'm not sure it's about masturbation. Anyway, so 2, regular flushing of the system keeps semen healthy.
Frequent masturbation helps in preventing the development of prostate cancer. Cancer-causing chemicals can build up in the prostate. I never say that word right. Am I saying it right? Prostate.
Prostate,
Yeah, I said it right.
Yeah.
If men do not ejaculate regularly.
I think that's quite important because, prostate cancer is a really big issue for men, isn't it?
Well, that's what my dad's experiencing, but I don't know whether I want to tell him to start having a good old wank.
Well, maybe it might be
the last thing he wants at the moment.
Yeah, it might be a bit too late for that. Anyway, so there we go. The benefits of masturbation. And I also want to give a shout out and mark the passing of Olympia Dukakis.
Love her, yeah.
Award-winning actress of stage and screen, feminist and LGBTQ advocate. It's almost like we're going to do a What That Really Old Queen, but there's lots of facts here. I'm not sure we've got...
Well, it's funny about Olympia is that you kind of know her. It's like she's always been an older person, hasn't she? She's always had that kind of wisdom and energy about her. I've never really seen her as a younger actor.
No. I think she used to do a lot of theatre when she was younger.
But we know her probably mostly for Steel Magnolias and the Tales of the City show.
Yeah.
Which they brought back recently, and she was still in it, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was brilliant. And then her character died at the end of it, passed on. She was also in Moonstruck.
Yes, love that film.
Which she got nominated for an Oscar for, with the famous Cher. Snap out of it.
How old was she when she died then? 1931, so...
So, yeah, she was born in 1931, so...
90.
Yeah.
Good innings, I guess.
90 or 89, I think, because her birthday's on June the 20th. But her mother was from the Peloponnese and her father was from Turkey. But they both had Greek origin. And she's got an autobiography called Ask Me Again Tomorrow, A Life in Progress, which was from 2003, where she describes the challenges she faced as a first-generation Greek American in an area with anti-Greek ethnic bigotry, violence and discrimination, and difficulties with her mother and other relationships, and battles with substances and chronic illness. But what I
want to check out. I wonder if she's got an audio book on that.
I think it would be amazing if she read it, wouldn't it? But what I was interested in was that for 10 years she studied with an Indian mentor. I'm going to pronounce this really badly.
Go for it. See how you go.
Srimatra Gayatri Devi at the Vedanta School of Hindu Philosophy, which I thought was really interesting. For 10 years, that's almost like becoming like a master guru or something by the end of it. She was a strong advocate for women's rights, LGBT rights, including same-sex marriage. Dukakis embraced the roles of a trans landlady in Tales of the City, which we've talked about, and a lesbian in Cloudburst. She was a figure on the lecture circuit discussing topics such as women living with chronic illness, life in theatre, the environment and feminism. And she is quoted as having said, "I recognise the real pulse of life is transformation. Yet I work in a world dominated by men and the things men value, where transformation is not the coinage, it's not even the language."
Love that.
Yeah. And she won 2 Obies in the theatre. And yeah, I just think she was such an amazing woman. She had a good innings, But yeah, I just wanted to mark it because it's quite a seminal person that has passed.
I'm glad you did, Bernie.
Have you got any other final words about Olympia Dukakis? She's got a brother called Apollo. It's all very Greek mythology, isn't it?
I never really thought about her heritage, but yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. She was also a fencing champion.
It says that she was, as a girl, she dominated in sports.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, I think she, it was one of her major passions when she was at school and stuff. And yeah, and she was a New England fencing champion. I've always fancied doing fencing.
I think I fancy it for the outfit mostly.
Yeah, it's quite sleek, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe we should do it. Do you think there's a gay fencing class we can go to?
I bet there is.
Let's do it. I can imagine me and you with our swords on guard.
Have you seen Will Young's new video?
No.
It's To Daniel, which is the song by...
Elton John?
No, not that one.
Leo Sayer?
No. It's quite a new song.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he's doing this real sort of almost fencing posturing within the video in the woods.
Oh, is that it? Oh, but didn't ask us. Where was our invite?
Are you expecting that?
Yeah. I mean, he's obviously going to come on the show, right?
He would be a good guest. He's got he had his own podcast, which he stopped doing, and they replaced it with Alan Cumming.
Yeah. Homo sapiens. Yeah.
Have you listened to that one?
I have, yeah.
What do you think of it?
I like it.
But it's not as good as ours.
It's not as good as What the Hell Queen, obviously. You know, the format's just not right for me. Well, we're going to insert our interview with Rhyannon Styles after our break. So we'll have a little bit of a break now, then we'll have the interview, and then we're going to come back and give our own two penneth on some Queens of Agony questions. How does that sound?
It sounds perfect. I'm there for you. All your decision making.
Thank you. That's what I like to hear. Okay, so we will be back after this. Hi! This isn't a sponsorship ad because we don't have any and we don't have any adverts, but you can help us get some by sharing this episode on social media. Then we can get some adverts and some sponsorship, and we'll be able to carry on with this queeniest of old queeniest of podcasts. Before then, if you can spare some cash, we have a Patreon account, so click on the link below and give us your dosh now. Thanks for listening. So we're back, and we have a fabulous guest, Rhyannon Styles, who is a writer for Stylist Magazine, Elle, Sunday Times Stylist Magazine, and Broadly, and has written The New Girl, A Trans Girl Tells It Like It Is, which we're going to be talking about. Welcome to the throne room, and what that old queen.
Thank you. What an intro. Love it.
Well, we sometimes we have a very brief intro for our guests, but I thought I'd big you up a bit, obviously.
How are you and where are you?
How am I? On a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'm 8.5.
That's pretty good.
I'm in Berlin, yeah.
How is Berlin treating you?
It's cold, it's dark, it's boring.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
That's not what I was hoping for.
We still have a curfew. We're not allowed any guests or any socializing after 10 p.m. So it's still actually very strict here. So it's just dragging on.
But you've made up for it by socializing with lots of plants, I can see.
Now I can see myself in the screen. It actually looks a bit like a greenhouse, doesn't it?
It kind of does. What are all the plants?
It's not actually my house. I've broken into this house.
Okay.
And this is where I'm doing the interview today. So I don't know. There's lots of plants.
We always highly support people breaking into other people's houses to conduct interviews with us.
In fact, it's a prerequisite. So
Perfect.
this is the new section. It's called Housebreak Interview.
I want to say to you, I loved your book, The New Girl. I listened to it on Audible and really loved it. And like what you're saying about being bored and alone, something about the book really resonated with me when you were talking about sort of finding your safe space in your imagination. And I wondered if that's something that you're doing within your curfew in the lockdown. Like, are you amusing yourself within your fabulous imagination?
I don't know. Perhaps I have actually regressed slightly in this lockdown curfew situation, and I've gone back to watching TV shows from the millennium. So I don't know. Maybe I am.
What TV shows are you watching?
Oh, I've gone into a really bad Sex and the City hole.
That's never a bad thing, I don't think.
I'm now on like season 6. I'm like, how have I got to season 6?
But do you know the artist Brian who does the sort of Sex and the City by prescription? So you tell him what's wrong with you, like you're having problems with your boyfriend, or you're not getting on with your friends, and then he prescribes you an episode of Sex and the City to watch.
Oh, I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, I wonder
what he comes up with.
Well, yeah, what would your episode be? Where are you at the moment? What's happened in the last episode?
Is it the pandemic issue?
They need to do that one.
It's the start of season 6. Carrie's met Berger. Miranda's fallen in love with Steve, but he's met somebody else. Charlotte is going to become a Jew, and Samantha's in the meatpacking district. So it's all going off.
Love it.
I want to say to you, I listen to, quite often I listen to 2 audio books at the same time. And I listened to Lucille Ball's memoir at the same time as yours. I don't know if there's a connection between the two. Both gorgeous redheads.
I would say that was probably my first inkling.
But I still haven't finished Lucille Ball.
Oh, okay. Hers probably covers a longer period than mine, though, no?
Well, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And talking of TV references, there are, like, what I really loved about your book is the detail. And it just is so evocative. I mean, you're younger than us, but you really capture that world of the 80s and the 90s with Scooby-Doo and She-Ra.
I love She-Ra.
Yeah, Going Live. They're all in there.
Yeah. I think it's because when I'm finding I'm writing that's autobiographical and memoir-based, then actually I need those reference points to set it in time, and also key things for me to be able to trigger memories around that time as well, so I can actually kind of like locate my own narrative within that world. So I find it just a really helpful way to anchor certain parts of my life down in the words, basically.
Was it hard to locate those memories, or was Going Live triggering a whole lot more? If you know what I mean.
I think always looking back, there are strong memories that jump out from childhood. So I remember vividly like Going Live, because me and my sister used to play on the floor in the lounge on a Saturday morning with dolls whilst Going Live was on. So it was very much like, it was very much integral to the childhood. So it's kind of very much there. But there's other things that, just kind of pop in and out. You think, and I think actually then it was down to my editor to really use those stories and memories in a way which made sense in the overall arc of the book.
How difficult was it or how cathartic was it to write the book? Yep, I watched an interview on YouTube with you where you said that you only had like 5 weeks to actually write the book.
I had about 5 months. I mean,
okay. Okay, that's different than 5 weeks. So you had 5 months, but what was that process like for you? Was it cathartic?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, the newer book, which we'll probably get on to talk about, was more cathartic. But in a way, it was part of the deal, because at that point when I got that book deal in 2016, I was the L columnist. So they really wanted to push the book out whilst I was still like working within the media in that way. And so I knew that it would be a really intense process because I'd never written a book before. So I didn't know how you scheduled your time to write a book. I didn't know like when and where I would write a book, how I would kind of go about, like, would I start at the beginning and finish at the end? Like all these things I had to learn when I was doing. And I remember it was coming really down to the crunch. And I had this like big piece of paper on the wall and I had to mark every single day. And every single day I had to hit a certain word count. And that's just when it's just like you're in the flow of it completely. It was cathartic in the sense it was the first time that I've really looked at some of those memories, looked at my life and being able to reflect on it from this perspective. And that, in that way, it was very nice.
What was the, because you were the L Girl columnist, what was the kind of readership's view on you taking that role?
I think it was very popular because it was the first time they'd really had a trans voice in the magazine of regularity. So I did the columns once a month for 2 years. And also their readership is very much actually the home counties. Wow. It's not like central cities. So I think it was really important for them that my voice was also accessible. So it didn't also feel too niche or too central to like one geographical point. And I think it went really well because the column lasted 2 years and it was only originally meant to last 10 months. So it was good.
And I think that's something about the book, The New Girl, was that it felt like something that I could give my mum and say, this is a trans girl's experience. But it also would work for, people that are experiencing the same issues as you are.
I suppose since the L column, I've always wanted to do that, is being able to have a readership which doesn't feel like you need to be part of the LGBT community to understand those issues and to understand the experience, to really open it much wider. And part of that is being able to show vulnerability and writing about difficult and challenging things. But I think that's just one way that people can then relate to you, because I think even though I've gone through a gender transition, many people in their lives go through other forms of transitions, whether it's a job transition, a family, etc. So I think there are actually universal themes that people can pick up on.
One thing that you describe, really well is the kind of the backstage, the dressing rooms, or the getting ready in disabled toilets, and that that's a world that I know quite a lot about. I'm always there, and you talk to the booze is kind of mentioned a little bit, but it's not really going into that much depth. And that's something that you're sort of picking up on your new book.
Yeah, exactly. There's one chapter in The New Girl called The B-Side, which talks about my drinking and taking drugs when I was working in the club scene and in cabaret and all that for like 10 years. And I really wanted to expand on that topic because also, as well as the gender transition, since 2012, I've also accessed recovery and have sobriety from drink, drugs, and various other things. And so I really wanted to share that journey so that there's also an accompanying book now, which isn't focused solely on the gender transition, but also the changes that I've made in my life. And also use that as a perspective to bring in other trans people's stories who've also accessed recovery.
Tell us what the book's called again, because I only wrote the first word down of the title, which is help.
So the first book was called The New Girl, A Trans Girl Tells It Like It Is. And the second book is called Help, I'm Addicted, A Trans Girl's Self-Discovery and Recovery.
That's great, because we did a piece on Straight Jacket last year, which is about a lot of people in the LGBTQ plus community turn to drink and drugs because of gay shame and the society that we live in. So that's brilliant that you're actually putting that into words and telling that story as well. Part of your other book, can we just touch on a little bit? Because we do like an agony aunt section in the show, and a lot of people talk to us about the apps and they have mixed feelings about dating apps and stuff like that. Whether some people like it, some people hate it. But you had quite a good experience on Grindr. Is that correct? Or a bad experience? Am I getting my experiences mixed up?
I'm trying to read your face.
I was quite surprised when you said good.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say, not many people have good experiences on Grindr, but some people do.
Yes, true. One of the things that I found surprising about Grindr, I mean, I haven't used Grindr since 2015. I don't know what it's like now. But in 2014, 2015, when I was really early on in my transition, it was challenging to find people who could accept you where you were in that process. So as a newly transitioning person, I couldn't sound exactly like I do now. But I found on Grindr that there was a percentage of people that were really sexually turned on and interested in trans feminine people. And I think it was surprising because I thought that sort of thing would only exist in other areas. I didn't think it would be in such a platform that's specifically centered towards gay men. That's how I'd previously heard of it and knew people who used Grindr. But actually, I think one of the filters on there is for guys looking for transgender women. And at the time, I was living in Hackney. And actually, it was a hotbed of guys looking for transgender women. I didn't know. Wow. So there were I had lots of experiences with people through that app. Some of them okay, some of them not so good. But this is also something that I talk about in the new book as well, because I think it's important to shine a light on the area and how easy it is for people. One of the things I found is that I was putting a lot of my self-worth in exterior things. So a lot of my exterior validation was coming from the attention from men. And when you do that, and when you do it in ways which haven't got healthy boundaries, apps like Grindr are really not a good idea.
Yeah, sure. And yeah. I think the Straight Jacket book mentions those apps as well. And I think David Stewart mentioned the apps in terms of like chemsex addiction and things like that, where it's very easily accessible for those types of things, and also for sex addiction and that type of stuff. So yeah, it's not the most healthiest of places to be sometimes.
Yeah, and also, I mean, sadly, those places also have a lot of transphobia, a lot of racism, a lot of prejudice. So you really have to, I think you really have to know when to disconnect from it.
Definitely, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, and you kind of have to be strong, really, as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Can we talk about your gong baths? Because I like to have a gong bath.
I'm really glad you mentioned that.
Oh, look, there's a gong.
You know, we have a gong in every show.
We use a gong as a sort of segue.
Yeah.
Oh, fab.
It's one of my favourite noises.
But tell us why you use a gong. I've had a gong bath with you once before, and it was... I felt it was a very nice experience because I'm not someone that really gets into meditation or relaxation easily, but there's something about the sound of it that it's like a fast track for me.
Exactly. So when I went to my first gong bath, I was literally like vibrating on the floor. It just really resonated with me, and it was like I'd never experienced anything like that before in a physical form from a sound. So I just really enjoyed it.
Wait, hang on a minute. Can you just describe what a gong bath is? Because I've never experienced one, and I'm sure some of our listeners haven't. So
yeah, I don't know how I got tuned into it, but when I was living in Hackney, I just saw this like flyer for someone doing a gong bath in this church, and I was like, that sounds really weird. I'm down. And,
love it.
And basically, you go into it can be any sort of space, and you go and you lie down. Usually, you go and lie down on a yoga mat in a shavasana position on your back, and you cover yourself with a blanket. Maybe you put a cushion under your head. Get really comfortable, close your eyes, and somebody will play gong or multiple gongs or singing bowls or crystal bowls a variety of instruments, and the composition, really, you feel it in ways, because what's so brilliant about the gong is that it creates so many different frequencies, and because sound travels really well through water, and your body is made up of 90% water, actually you feel these really, you feel the sound in ways that you don't if you listen to recorded music, for example. It's really powerful. And then when I went to my first gong bath, I was like, this is amazing. One day, maybe I would like to do this. And when I moved to Berlin, I started my MA. I did an MA it's called Solo Dance Authorship, which is for artists who use performance in their work. And as part of one of my semesters, I'm also a musician. I play guitar and other instruments, and I wanted to incorporate gong. And I started working with a gong player, and we developed that work. And then on the side of that, she taught me how to play gong. And I just organically fell into doing gong baths, because for me, like you say, Tom, I mean, I've been meditating for a few years now, and I can access that quite easily. But I do think for people who don't have meditation practices, that gong is a really good aid just to be able to calm and slow down and tune into something else. You haven't got those thoughts always racing through your head.
I saw you do a show at Vauxhall Tavern at Ducky. It was years ago, and it was very like ritualistic, and there was a lot of kind of rolling, and it felt like that was it felt connected to what we're talking about now. Do you remember what you were doing?
Yeah. I played something on the guitar and it was all looping. Then I started doing roly-polies until I couldn't do any more. Yeah, until I was exhausted.
That was it, yeah. And the crowd went wild.
I remember that show because there was a girl standing at the end of the stage, and she had a glass of water, and every time I did my roly-poly towards that side of the stage, she was like, have a drink.
But you're professional, so you didn't.
I didn't, no. I mean, that would have broken it, wouldn't it? But yeah, it's funny. But it's very much connected to that, and I think that was one of the... Actually, that similar work is what I was developing in my MA work, so it has come all from that same place, for sure. I think people think gong baths are a bit woohoo, like a bit... They still seem a bit inaccessible to people. So I started... Did you join through my Instagram gong baths that I was doing?
Yeah.
I took them onto Instagram during the winter, at that time of the year when it gets dark at 3 p.m. and it just feels like there's no end in sight. And yeah, I did it on Instagram, and it was really successful because I think it just opened up people's awareness to actually how powerful it can be.
I just was on a residency last week, and it was this beautiful house in the countryside with lots of wood surrounding it. And they built this kind of meditation hut in a tree. It's beautiful circular kind of like yurt almost, I suppose. And I was with my friend, and we went into the meditation tent, or whatever you call it. And I said, should we have a gong bath? And I just found on Spotify that there's a list of gong baths that you can do. And we lay down, and I literally immediately fell asleep. And she said she was just listening to me snoring for half an hour.
Well, gong bars, I've never heard of this, so I'm definitely going to give it a go.
Yeah, you need one in your life.
Because, as I say, I love a gong. So.
Can you give us a gong with that gong in the background?
Well, I can, but I don't think it will sound very good through Zoom. Let's see. You ready?
We're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Let's see how it sounds. You don't have to tell me how it sounds.
Oh.
It's cutting out. It started and then
it stopped.
Was it all patchy?
Yeah.
Oh, it's really weird because it started and then it just stopped.
I mean, we've learned something that gong baths, Zoom is not the right platform for gong baths.
No, absolutely not.
I'll insert a gong later. I'll make it sound amazing.
Is your new book out now?
The new book, Help I'm Addicted, A Trans Girl's Self-Discovery and Recovery, is coming out on October 21st, published by Jessica Kingsley Publishers. And the old book, The New Girl, is available on Amazon and in all good bookshops.
Great. And if people want to find out more about you, is there a website?
Yes, you can go to rhyannonstyles.com, or I'm slowly building my new Gong website, which is gongbathberlin.com. I'm on Instagram at Rhyannon_Styles.
That's great. Rhiannon, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been fabulous having you in the throne room and you banging your gong for us.
You've been brilliant.
Thank you very much.
We will bang a gong for you momentarily. Take care.
Okay, take care.
Right, that's our own little gong bath that's happening. We're going to do some Queens of Agony now. Are you ready for this?
I think so.
Okay.
As ready as I'll ever be.
So, dear old Queens, as you are over 40, was being fit the golden standard, and did you struggle with body image? Lots of guys complain mainly about why they don't get hit on by other guys and get turned down by them because they are not fit, are fat, or working on achieving those muscular good looks. This made me wonder whether back in time it used to be such an obsession or a hard-coded criteria of attraction in the gay community as it is now with us millennials or not.
I don't think it's just a millennial thing.
No, I think it's always been a bit of a thing, isn't it?
I mean, I can't say always, but yeah, it's definitely been a thing for a long time.
I think it's less of an issue now than it was back then, but
I mean,
maybe
there are
I'm
certain
wrong.
people that like a fuller figure.
Yeah, I think it feels like there's more people open to different shapes and sizes, and that certainly if you're having a relationship with someone, it's more about the person than the physicality. I don't know. I mean, I guess you are attracted to people because of how they look if you don't know anything about them to start off with. But then I think there's a certain, je ne sais quoi about people that kind of turns you on. I'm kind of turned on by people and their personalities rather than... I guess the first thing that you're confronted with is the looks. But then as you get to know someone, I think you can be turned on just by them as a person. But what do you think?
I think you can, yeah. But yes, I do find myself attracted to a certain shape of body that's probably very different to my own, and that's probably why I find attraction and difference a lot.
Yeah.
My ideas of my own body, I've always had I've always looked at myself in the mirror and had sort of issues around that, and I've always tried to maintain like quite a lean look. So that's probably not a conventional, I'm going to say golden standard, because
I don't really know what they mean by that.
I'm going to use that phrase because I think that's what they... Yeah, so I do quite a lot of exercise to try to maintain that. But also exercise is different because it's different for me because it does feel very connected to my mental health. And so I love to go running in the morning, and that feels like you can see nature, and you can feel the wind or the rain or the weather, and you can go into nature and look at the birds and all that beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
So they're really interconnected with me, and at the moment, actually, a lot of my work is just like quite sedentary. So it's nice to start the day with something that moves your body around a bit.
But you're doing that for a different reason. You're not doing it to just make yourself look beautiful, are you?
I'm doing it for a combination of reasons.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I wouldn't go as far as to say, making myself look beautiful. I would just say, yeah. But my problem area as I've got older is my stomach, and I always focus on that, and probably unnecessarily because that's just what happens to your body as you get old.
Yeah. I used to be very skinny when I was younger, but then as I got older, obviously I'm bigger. I also have problems with body image, and I try to kind of celebrate and accept that I'm a bigger person, and I like working out, and I tend to go to the gym, and that kind of accentuates my bigness in a way rather than losing it. And yeah, I, like you, I think I do it for mental reasons as well. I find going to the gym or working out at home is almost meditative, and it also it kind of helps me process stuff with the day. But I tend to think that I think we're bombarded with images of people with supposedly perfect bodies and things like that. I am trying to be more body positive about, you know, different shapes and sizes, and I think we should be. I think it's a bit of an issue in the gay world, particularly with gay men as well, and I think women feel this as well in the straight world and elsewhere, where there's a lot of pressure to look a certain way or be, you know, have a certain look, and I think we need to get away from that. And if you're happy with who and what you are, that shouldn't be an issue.
I like to wear a lot of, you know, different types of clothes, and I sort of feel that's connected as well somehow. Like to have that sort of lean frame, in my mind, allows me to wear certain clothes that I probably wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a healthy position to have, really.
No, maybe I don't know. I mean, so I've got a wardrobe. I've got 2 wardrobes full of clothes, half of which I can't wear anymore because they're too small for me. But part of me thinks I'm actually I will fit into them again one day. So I'm refusing to throw them out. But maybe I should just get rid and just, you know, accept my body shape as it is and dress accordingly. I don't know. It's
sometimes you see someone wearing something that's really tight on them, and they're just so liberated in their body that it just looks brilliant.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter.
And everything's sort of spilling out and hanging out, and they just look amazing. And I think that's who I want to be.
I think there's a definite attitude that makes you attractive, and I think it helps as you get older when you're more comfortable in yourself and your body. And I think people are just more attractive when they're more confident about themselves. And I think that's one of the issues here. I think like I said, we're bombarded with these images or this ideal of what people should look like. Actually, we should just be happy in ourselves and just kind of celebrate what we are a bit more. And yeah, I definitely don't think it's a millennial thing or just a millennial thing, but it's a shame that it is still a thing. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like we're our own worst enemies sometimes. We always see our faults rather than celebrating what's good about us. Yeah, and we just need to do that a little bit more. Anyway, I don't know whether that's answered the question or not.
I've got this fantasy about when we go back into the nightclubs that I'm going to wear something really revealing.
Wow, that's interesting because we've got a question about that coming up.
Okay.
So let's move on so we can get to that question. So, dear old queens, how do you stop comparing new partners to your ex? I'm 34. I broke up with my ex who was 27 3 months ago. I'm still grieving the loss. We broke up for complicated reasons, but the sex was always great between us until the very end. I remained abstinent for 3 months, just working on myself and grieving. This month, I've started meeting a few guys for hookups just to test the waters. None of the sex I've had compares even closely to the sex I had with my ex. I put a face on during the hookup, but then I'm really sad when the guy leaves because I miss my ex so much. How can I stop this? I don't want to stay stuck, and I want to have great sex with other men. Thanks for your advice.
Well, I'm giving it, yeah.
I think it's in anticipation. I think we've all been there, haven't we? Where we've had.
I don't think there's anything wrong with comparing it to your ex, because maybe when you compare it, you can say, "Well, they're better at that. I really like the way that they cooked me dinner. Jason didn't used to do that, for example."
Yeah. Jason isn't a specific person. It's just a...
Well, it's one of my exes.
Oh, okay. Okay, no names, no patrial.
I don't think he listens.
But I think 3 months... What this... the writer-innerer doesn't say is how long the relationship was for.
Word?
The writer-innerer, yeah.
Yes, 3 months. That's not very long.
It's not very long, especially if it was a long-term relationship, which I'm guessing it was. I think maybe it's a little bit too soon if you're having these. I mean, good for you for getting back out there, but
yeah, give it more time.
I think give it more time, and I think it will come. Excuse the pun. And
Noted.
But I think, yeah, you just need a little bit more time, and it's just finding the right connection with someone. And I think that's difficult in sexual terms sometimes. Casual sex can be really, really good and really, really hot with some people, but it can also be very transactional and quite transient and isn't always perfect. And I think sometimes sex in a relationship or with a long-standing sexual partner is better because you get to know what they like and what they don't like and what you like and what you don't like. And, you know, it's International Masturbation Month, so maybe just continue with the masturbation for a while.
You're very good at this, Bernie. You should do it for a living.
If only someone would pay me. But yeah, what do you think? I think
it's only been 3 months. I think that they need to have some fun, and they shouldn't care. It shouldn't matter that they do compare. That's only human to do that, but don't get stuck in it.
Yeah.
I often find that I used to give them the ex's names. Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
That doesn't go down well.
No, but then I went through a phase of dating everyone who had the same name. So
Well,
so I didn't really have that problem.
Or sometimes you can call them mum.
That's a whole different kind of therapy that we need for that one. Okay. So I think give it a bit more time. Also, sex is always different with different people, so it's not going to be the same. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse, you know, and it's not always going to be perfect. But just kind of, sometimes sex gets better with someone.
Agreed.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry. I was looking at the next question and wondering what I thought about that.
Well, the next question is quite a short one. Dear old queens, do you like moustaches? How do you feel about a moustache? And how about body hair in general?
So my answer to that is, why are you asking us that? Why do you want to know? Why do you want to know what we think about that?
Well, maybe they're thinking of considering having a moustache.
Like to please us specifically?
I don't know.
I don't understand why someone's written into us to ask that question.
Well, moustaches, they're very in at the moment, aren't they? Have you watched, like, The Great British Sewing Bee?
I thought you could say The Great British Moustache. They're really running low on ideas for TV shows now, aren't they?
But there's like a French guy called Raph, I think, on there who's got a moustache, who's very attractive.
Well, next week's guest is Les Child.
Oh.
And he was in a show called Glow Up. It's on TV.
Yes.
The makeup show.
Yeah.
And there's a guy with a nice moustache on that.
Yeah.
I can take or leave a moustache, actually, but I guess if you've got a nice one, then
I think they suit some people, they don't suit others.
I've had a moustache before.
Yeah.
It's not the fullest of moustaches. I haven't shaved for about 2-3 days.
I know, you're almost a bear.
I know. It feels quite weird, but I've just been very busy.
I kind of like it.
Would you like to see more of it?
Of course.
I've got a photo shoot tomorrow, and I'm wondering whether just to keep it or to take it all off.
Oh, tell us about your photo shoot.
Well, I've got a little show that I'm doing in Weston-super-Mare, so they're photographing me on the top of the Sovereign Shopping Centre car park.
Glamorous.
Yeah, and the pier.
Amazing.
They said, what sort of style? I said, I don't mind, but I just want the wind blowing through my hair. And maybe I'll be holding a bag of chips.
Put some chips in your hair.
And how do you feel about body hair in general?
Well, I tend to like it. Well, I mean, I'm very hairy and I've got a beard, and so I kind of like hair, but I also like people who are smooth as well. I do have a penchant for a moustache. I think they look good. But yeah, I don't. Again, I don't know why they've written in and asked this.
I just was playing Maggie Smith recently, and I took off all my arm hair with what's that cream called?
Veet.
Yeah, and I took it off because I'm very smooth, but I've got quite hairy arms. I took it off my arm hair, and I quite like not having a lot of arm hair because when I'm performing, I like to do a lot of stuff with my arms, and somehow I feel like the hair breaks up the line.
Yeah, maybe. But sometimes you wear long gloves as well, don't you?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure where that gets us in this question, but...
So the answer is, do you like moustaches? No, but we like long gloves.
Well, I also like long gloves, but I do like moustaches and body hair. So there you go. Right, final question. Dear old queen. This feels weird, this just us doing these again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where we don't have someone else interjecting.
We had a limited time with Rhiannon, and so I think that's why we're doing it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but any feedback from our listeners?
We'd love to hear your feedback.
Is it good to have another alternative viewpoint?
Yeah. I mean,
I think we quite often agree on things, so it's quite nice to have a sort of
a
third.
An adjunct. Okay, maybe I'm gonna disagree with the next one. Dear old queens, am I too old to wear sexy clothes to bars and clubs? Do's and don'ts needed. Your input is needed. I'm looking forward to us coming out of lockdown and the potential of heading to gay events, bars and clubs, but I'm feeling a gay bar novice again. I think a lot of people are feeling like that, aren't they? They're a bit worried about us coming out of lockdown. I think I'm in great shape for an older guy and I kind of want to get noticed. I feel like I want to break out my short shorts, colourful tanks, jocks, etc.
Jocks?
I know.
In a nightclub? You're just walking into a pub in a jock?
What has been known. I don't usually do this, but it seems like it'll be fun. But
I'd love to go into a bar and say, I don't you normally do this kind of thing.
But I'm just wearing a jock. I don't usually do this, but it seems like it'd be fun. I also don't want to go overboard as compared to what guys generally do in their 40s do when they hang out in bars. Any gay nightlife fashion tips, do's and don'ts?
Well, we've gone from the pubs to the nightlifes.
Yeah.
I would just say I want to see someone go overboard. Don't you?
Especially on a boat.
Yeah.
I love it when people go overboard on a boat. Yeah, because I think it's a little bit harking back to the body image thing that we were talking about before, that it's almost like a celebration of who and what you are in a way, and attention grabbing and celebrating yourself.
I've always had this thing about my legs, and I made a show called Legs 11 where it was in 2011, so it was 10 years ago now.
Wow.
And I entered a competition to become the best legs in the country.
Oh, yeah.
It was run by Pretty Polly, and I actually became a finalist. And so I was invited to this modelling shoot where it was me and a lot of teenage girls.
Yeah.
I was in my late 30s at the time. And I do have good legs, but my legs have had a lot of troubles of their own.
Right.
So I had a lot of varicose veins and I've had them removed. And now my legs, they're a good shape, I think, my legs, because I like to go running and do exercise specifically for my legs. But they have a lot of scarring and they have a lot of eczema that's not called eczema. It's got a specific name.
Okay.
It's like eczema for varicose veins.
Okay.
I don't know what that's called, but I'm just going to call it varicose vein eczema.
Yeah.
So, in lots of ways, they're quite gruesome.
Right.
But they also are long and a good shape.
Yeah.
And I think, fuck it. Why don't I just get them out?
Yeah.
One more time.
Why not? Yeah, I think it's just a celebration of yourself. Whether, it's all about body image and warts and all in a way, isn't it? But yeah, if you want to go into a bar in just a jock.
I'm right behind you.
What's your favourite jock label? Do you have jock straps? Are you a jockstrap kind of person?
No, I have got 2 jock straps. I don't know what they're... I think one says Colt on them. Would that be a brand?
Colt, there's Bike, there's Aussie Bum.
I've never got into Aussie bums.
Box.
I never like a person in an Aussie bum. I think that they, to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but they sort of present someone that is... If I see an Aussie bum, I think a vacuous mind.
Really?
Is that harsh?
Might be a bit harsh.
Have you got an Aussie bum?
I've got Aussie bums, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah. Well, I have all sorts of underwear. Aussie bum were kind of big, like 15, 20 years ago, weren't they? I think.
I'm not sure. I haven't got a timeline to hand.
They're not so big now. Box are quite good. I don't know.
I've got a red pair and a white pair. That's what I've got, but I don't ever wear them really.
No.
My favourite pants. I think I might be wearing them tonight.
But this can be an Instagram post.
Yes, I am. They're actually by Zara.
Right.
They're black, but they've got that lovely...
They've got like a gold trim.
trim.
Yeah. Glitzy.
Yeah, I love them. And they're only Zara, and they were in a sale. I think they were £1.99, which is
amazing.
my kind of style.
Yeah, I quite like it when they're in the sale. Underwear seems to be really expensive for the amount of fabric there is on especially jock straps, which is even less than a boxer. I think some people I think whatever makes you feel sexy, some people wear jocks all the time, don't they? Like during the day.
Yes, I think it makes them feel naughty.
Yeah.
What happens if you poo your pants?
That's what I would always be worried about.
Because you know that there's a bit of a buffer.
Yeah. Although, if you take psyllium husk and stuff, that apparently doesn't happen so much.
I don't even know what that is.
Well, it's like a fibre supplement that you have. It's very good if you're bottoming in general.
So what does it do? Just get rid of everything before you've even left the house?
Well, it kind of binds everything up, so it's not, you're not going to have...
you get hard stool.
Yeah, you're not going to have like an avalanche of stuff that you don't want.
Well, you heard it here, folks.
But this conversation's gone downhill fast. What about other things? I don't know why we're talking about jocks in general, but what gay nightlife fashion tips, do's and don'ts?
Well,
what's a don't?
So don't.
Aussie bums are don't, obviously.
For me, they are. Yeah,
Yeah.
But I probably stand alone on that.
Right.
I'm desperate to get in a backless dress.
Yeah, you look good in a backless dress.
Well, I've never worn one.
But isn't that big ball gown that you wore for your 21st birthday? That's backless.
It's sort of
a bit.
Isn't
it?
Yeah, it's got a bit of back, but
Yeah.
I'm talking like down to the
down to the
jock strap. That's
okay.
not there. Yeah. What's a do?
Glitzy, bold patterns,
Cheap fabric.
Yeah, but I like a T-shirt with something on it as well,
slogan.
With a slogan or a picture or something funny on it.
My busy mum from Fit Normal T-shirt still hasn't turned up.
Is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the time it comes, I won't be so busy because the kids have left.
Busy mum no longer. Do you think it's going to turn up like that? Bored mum?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Philip Normal, what's happening? What's going on? It's not like Branded and Monica, is it?
No.
Where you get your T-shirt within a couple of days.
And didn't they do a free delivery service?
Free delivery.
Did you cash in on that?
Not quite. No, I think I missed it. I bought an early one.
Yeah, I wanted to get the Michelle one as well, but
I went for Joan in honour of my mum, but I might also get Jane. I think go for your life. Put your short shorts on if it's warm enough for that.
Have you got short shorts?
I've got, yeah. I rarely wear them.
Have you worn the boiler suit that I gave you?
No, not yet. I'm waiting for a moment to do it.
What is that moment? What does that moment
Well,
look like?
I want to give it like a special outing.
Okay.
And like we haven't really had one of those yet, have we?
No. Might be Western Supermare.
It might be Western Supermare. If that's on top of a car park, I think that would be a very good outfit for me to wear.
They might mistake you for a car park attendant.
I don't think car park attendants wear corduroy, but
in Western they do.
Oh, maybe they do. Maybe they do. Anyway, I think go for your life. Whatever makes you feel sexy, especially in bars and clubs as we're opening up. They're saying, I mean, what do you think about the fact that people are worried about coming out of lockdown? A lot of people are saying that it's going to be a bit like the Roaring Twenties.
Yeah, I think that's quite a sort of simplistic view of it. I'm curious to know what it's going to look like, because as we stand at the moment, they're only just vaccinating the over 40s. And I wonder whether by the time everything opens up, it's only going to be the over 40s that have the double dose. So it's all going to be just the older people in the club. And I want to be right behind that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And you know, if older people are wearing short shorts, let's all wear short shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
we'll wear the short shorts, and then the younger people will have to follow.
Yeah, but they can wear the jocks. Well, in Wales, they're now vaccinating people who are 18 plus.
Okay.
Already. So
I think Wales got it sorted. Really, they've been the best ones.
Yeah.
I do feel fundamentally Welsh. I don't know why. I mean, I have got ancestry in Wales, but it's a couple of generations down.
You look fundamentally Welsh.
Do I?
No.
I do look a bit like a daffodil. That's probably what you're thinking.
And I look a bit like a sheep. So on that bombshell, shall we end the podcast?
Yeah.
I think it's time to end it. Okay. Thank you, lovely audience, for being with us. Thank you, Rhiannon, who's not here anymore, but it was great to have her interview. Somi, say goodbye.
Goodbye, and thank you.
Goodbye. We will see you next time on What That Old Queen. You have been listening to What That Old Queen, written and presented by Tom Marshman and Bernie Hodges. The show was produced by Bernie Hodges for Hodge Podcasting in 2021. If you have a question for the Old Queens, or you'd like to be a guest, or you want to sponsor a show and give us lots of money, you can email hello@thatoldqueen.com or find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.